We are educated, or I should say, not necessarily educated, but I guess marketed to and brainwashed that whatever our doctor says to us is what we should be going with.
Welcome to the What Up Doc University podcast, your number one resource for total body wellness. Here's your host, Dr. Mike.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Mike coming live to you guys from my car. It's going to be like a new thing. You guys get to hang out in the car with me. And it'll be a little bit stuff that's on the top of my head, maybe some questions or some observations that I've been getting. But yeah, I got some time sitting here in the lovely traffic in Southern California. So I figured, I might as well use this time and be constructive. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about all kinds of stuff. So today, what I want to talk about is an observation that I've seen over the last couple years, I should say, if not the last couple months. But what I've seen is that I see patients, like I said, I see patients at the end stage of their life, and they've been going through a lot of chronic health issues, and they come into the office, they sit down with me, and they ask a lot of questions, and they're very curious about some of the different treatment regimens, treatment protocols that we're doing in the office. And I get a ton of questions, and I love the questions. But what I've noticed is that these people who are asking these questions, when we turn around and we ask them, if they've asked their medical doctor about the procedures that would be performed on them, maybe such as chemotherapy or surgeries, or even giving a drug, they never ever questioned them the same way that they were questioning me in the office about the different things that I would be doing in the office. And I found this very interesting, and we ended up talking to one patient about, hey, did you ever ask this many questions to your medical doctor? And the answer was no. And there were two main reasons. One is because, they weren't allowed to, because medical doctors kind of just stood there and said, hey, here's what you need to do, and limited amount of time, so they kind of just left the room. And the second part is, we are educated, or I should say, not necessarily educated, but I guess marketed to and brainwashed that whatever our doctor says to us is what we should be going with, right? We go into our medical doctor's office and we get a test done, and we never ever question the reason for the test or what their opinion is from it, especially when we're dealing with more chronic health issues, cancer, diabetes, all that kind of, those kind of issues. We find out, we get a diagnosis, and then the treatment plan is laid out for us, and the majority will go along with whatever is said. And I think it's because we've been marketed to that's the way that things need to be. So we just go along with it, right? So if you watch any show, whether it's a movie or a TV show, and somebody's going through a health issue, we're given the treatment process on the show. So we're slowly being ingrained in our minds of what's considered to be normal. So we're often holding medical doctors at this standard of what we call, the high priests of this medical religion, and we don't question it. And unfortunately, what I see in practice is that that's often what gets people into trouble. I just spoke to a patient today, and they were talking about how one of their friends is going through breast cancer, and that they were given the conventional treatments of chemotherapy, radiation, and they're getting worse and worse on a daily basis. and they won't budge from it. They won't budge from that treatment regimen because of the things that they've been ingrained in our mind. And I've lost too many friends and family members because of what's been ingrained in their mind, and being in that rigid thought process of saying, well, this is what I was told, so I'm going to go along with it, rather than looking elsewhere and looking for other things that may help my body in another way. And if you look at it, that's insanity, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. So you have a lot of these people who are insane, and they don't need to be suffering in this state of health, and they don't need to die at an early age, and unfortunately, this is what's happening in our society, and this kind of stuff needs to stop. But the way that it needs to happen is it starts with you. If you're listening to this podcast right now, so obviously you're interested in your health, but we cannot just go along with what's being told to us. We need to become educated. And that's the whole purpose of why we're doing this podcast, and why we bring on, specific guests that we're going to be having on the show, that we've had on the show before, is take that information and then learn why that is the case and what you need to do with it. Because not every single person is going to fit into the same treatment process. Not every single dietary regimen will fit for every single person. But unfortunately, we've become a society that we want to give our health to another person to manage it. And that's where we've gone, So what the takeaway I want you guys to get with this episode is, be responsible for your health. Don't give it away to somebody else. And just because you've been told something doesn't necessarily mean that that's the thing that will be working for you. And that's what I tell all of my patients, that not every single person is going to have the exact same treatment. Some people, I get patients that come in and they're like, hey, my friend has the exact same thing as me, and they came in and you told them something totally different than what we're doing. And I says, yeah, because just because you have the same diagnosis doesn't necessarily mean that the road to where you guys want to go will be the exact same route. And we unfortunately, we don't do that to our medical doctor practitioners. We don't question them enough. We just go along with what's been said because that's what's been ingrained in our mind. So question everything, guys, and ask why, and ask how, and ask, will this work for me? And if it's just a cookie cutter approach, you have to ask, why is it being done this way for me? Not just going along with what's been done for everybody else, because what's been done for everybody else isn't necessarily going to work for you. So that's all I have for today. If you love what we're doing here, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Share this with your friends and family. And until the next episode, be well and aloha.